Now, the bombshell investigation into the community organizing group ACORN continues to spread tonight. And after days of reporting on this outrageous story, ACORN has finally, albeit reluctantly, issued a statement. Now, the CEO of the organization says, quote, as a result of the indefensible action of a handful of our employees, I am in consultation with ACORN's executive committee, immediately ordering a halt to any new intakes into ACORN service programs until completion of an independent review. Now, ACORN has also pledged to name its own, quote, independent auditor to investigate the organization's current processes within the next 48 hours. And there's even proof tonight that Democrats are no longer able to ignore this scandal. White House Press Secretary Robert Gibbs, he had this to say earlier today.
The conduct that you see on those tapes is completely unacceptable. I think everyone would agree with that. The administration takes accountability extremely seriously.
But this does not put an end to the story. ACORN, the Obama administration, and Congress alike may all want to take a look at the brand new footage that comes to us exclusively right here on Hannity tonight from San Diego, the offices of ACORN there. Now, this new, never-before-seen undercover footage shows the great lengths that one ACORN official is willing to go in order to help set up a prostitution ring, once again involving underage girls. Now, the man on this tape even offers to help smuggle underage illegal immigrants into the U.S. for the purposes of prostitution. Let's take a look.
Logistically, I mean, is it better if it's Tijuana? Is it better if it's somewhere inland? Where is the best place? I'm not quite. He's like all these answers he wants right away.
It's better in Tijuana.
Tijuana?
Yeah.
Why?
Because I have a lot of contacts in Tijuana.
Okay, and they might be able to assist crossing the border?
Yeah.
Okay. There's like 12 of them. Is that okay?
12?
12.
12 girls.
There's 12 girls. But there's like 13 to 15 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I want to contact you only right now for email.
Got it.
Pretty sick and unbelievable, but that's not all they captured. Now, take a look as this official from ACORN actually appears to solicit the woman, Hannah, that he believes is a prostitute.
Yeah.
How much do you charge for that?
For her service?
Well, for the entire weekend, I mean...
You're not going to work for me?
Are you a potential client?
No. I want to know what is it.
And joining me now to discuss this is Andrew Breitbart from BigGovernment.com, and the woman who plays the prostitute that you just saw, that's Hannah Giles. All right, well, we'll deal with the last part first, because he's asking, well, how much do you charge for her?
Yeah.
So he's basically propositioning you.
Yeah, it was extremely awkward. I mean, the whole time he was, very weird about the way he dealt with me and stuff like that. And then, and he kept looking at me and would, not even pay attention to James, and it was extremely uncomfortable. And then there came a point and he was like, so where are you located? And I was like, San Diego. He goes, no, but where? And then he asked me how much you charge.
For the entire weekend, and are you a potential client? Oh, I just don't know what so he hedged a little bit there. Your reaction? She's 20, and by the way, you're 20 years old, as we've been pointing out this week to our audience. I mean, that's a tough position to put yourself in. That's a dangerous position to put yourself in.
At that point, I wasn't really scared at any of the other ones. I wasn't scared then, but it was extremely uncomfortable, and I had to think of something. I wasn't expecting that.
Well, this is the first time we've come to the border, and it seems to me as we go ACORN office to ACORN office, they seem to be experts at facilitating crime. And their knowledge of that crime and helping bring the underclass, to how to work the system as best as they can.
So in other words, when you go to Baltimore and D.C. and New York and San Bernardino and San Diego, and this all happened, were there any cities you went to where you just didn't get any videotape not worthy to air?
We're airing it. It's pretty worthy. Everyone seems to be. In other words,
you didn't go into one office and they said, we're not going to help you do anything like that?
No.
Not one. Every place you went, they helped you or were willing to help you either not report you for an underage prostitution ring, evade taxes, as we've heard.
Right. It is interesting. There's no there's no place, as ACORN tried to state, that kicked them out based upon the premise that they were doing something nefarious.
All right, Linda, let's go through this whole thing. In what we just showed our viewers, and we saw this in other cities, perhaps not as even blatant as this. You know, you say 12 girls that you're going to import. They're 13 to 15 years old, and he wants to help you get him into the country.
Yeah, that was the scariest thing. When we walked into the San Diego office, we were like, hey, they have a really big push for immigration. And I was like, we got to, you know, let's see if we can get them on this too. And especially since we were dealing with immigration. He told us that it would be best if we had them shipped into Tijuana because he had contacts there that could help us.
Yeah.
It was extremely unusual, and we're like, oh, you can. And he goes, yeah, my people have experience bringing people across the border.
And like last night in San Bernardino that we aired, Breitbart, I call you Breitbart, it's Andrew. But like that, you know, Hannah was saying last night, no, I want these underage girls. I want them to work for me. I want them to be under. And the woman's explaining basically how that they can facilitate this, not reporting this to the police. An underage prostitution, child abuse ring. You know, in each city, almost every city, we had this come up.
We're still at that point where the media, I think the media would have reacted to this probably on Monday, but it still is having trouble with it because it can't find the angle that can extricate its friends out of the mess. I think that if it wasn't coming from people who were self-avowed conservatives, they probably would have jumped in. They don't want to give a victory to the conservative side here.
What is, now this is pretty much, at least for this stage, the end of the tapes that are going to be coming out for a while?
Probably. I just think there's a lot. What has been released this week, New York, and
DC,
San Diego,
Baltimore.
Now there's 5. But this week, the Teresa Calki one in San Bernardino, the San Diego one, we're talking about new crimes that have been brought to the fore. I think there's a lot for the country to digest here. I think that the ABC, NBC, CBS are eventually going to play catch up.
And they're responding, and Congress is responding to defund, as we have been reporting. I mean, they're on schedule to get $8.5 trillion of stimulus money. You put yourself as a 20-year-old girl in this position, very, very dangerous position.
Yeah.
Now you now both and others and James O'Keefe are threatening to be sued and some others. So my question is, you know, what have you learned? What is the big lesson here do you think that you learned in all this experience, and you shared this video with us?
That you can take on corruption. And I really, the country's been rallying behind us. I mean, the support, the prayers, it's been wonderful. And they're like, you know, you've brought hope. And I actually got an email today from a guy who served an officer in the military, and he was older, and he'd lost all hope. And he saw what James and I did going in there, you know, going on the front lines, risking our necks for our country, draining our savings. And he just said, you gave me hope. You know, I'm happy that America's got a future.
This is going to change your life.
I hope it's changing a lot of people's lives.
Yeah. You know, what you guys did was incredibly courageous, incredibly brave. I think you exposed the media to be shallow, inept, ineffective, biased, all the things we discuss. And I think people are really have learned a lot about a group, and you probably have saved the country billions of dollars. Billions, which they were scheduled to get at ACORN.
I think that there are going to be a zillion other James and Hannahs out there who have been inspired by this.
I agree. You've inspired me. I got to tell you, congratulations and thank you. And thank James for us. And Andrew, you're a great American. We always thank you. So.
I think journalists have a big future, and young kids need to step up. So
I think, you know, Fox News is in your future. Come on over. Thank you guys for being with us.